Welcome. In front of me I have the REALME 14 Pro Plus, and I'll go around unboxing along with a quick look at the device and also its specifications. So anyway, popping it open, we get a case. At least I think that's a case. Pretty neat. It's in a paper little baggie. Here's our grayish matte finish case. Love to see those. Some paperwork, some eject tool. The phone. And a charging cable, Type A to Type C. So that's everything that we have in the box now. Putting on the case while this device is booting up, you can kind of see how it fits, and it's a snug fit. It protects the camera with a little lip around here, which is pretty nice, and also you have a bit more protection right here on the corner, so you can just drop it onto the screen and don't need to worry. And we do have a pre-applied screen protector on the device, which is pretty good. Now, when it comes down to the specifications of this device, let's start off with the display. I'm going to take off the case just so the actual bezels are a little bit easier to see and distinguish. So right here we are dealing with a 6.8 inch display with a resolution of 1272 by 2800. It is a OLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate, and a peak brightness of 1500 nits. And it boasts about an 89% screen to body ratio with a pixel density of 450 pixels per inch, covered with the Corning Gorilla Glass 7i. So display right here is pretty good. Now, if we flip it over to the back, we have what looks to be a triple camera setup, and these actually look like a solid camera setup, to be completely honest. So we have a 50 megapixel f1.8 aperture, 28mm wide lens. Then we get a 50 megapixel f2.7, 73mm periscope telephoto with a 3x optical zoom, and 8 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide. Now with those cameras you can record videos up to 4K at 30 frames, and 1080p will get you 60 along with slow motion of 120. And then at the front in this hole punch right here, we have a 32 megapixel wide sensor that does max 8K 30 and 1080p 30. So unfortunately it doesn't support 60 frames per second. So now let's move over to the internals, where the device will come with a hefty 6000 mAh battery. So this device has a what I would consider as a typical kind of size. It's not super chunky, doesn't have like extra weight or anything like that. So it feels basically like most of the devices, but it does have a 6000 milliamps instead of what you would probably come to expect from a device this size to be about 5000 instead. So battery size is pretty good. Charging speed is also pretty good at 80 watts, though there is no included charger, unfortunately. And internally we have either 8 gigabytes of RAM with 128 gigs of storage, all the way up to 512 gigs of storage with 12 gigs of RAM. Now, for most people, I would probably recommend actually picking up the not the lowest end, which will come with 128 gigs of storage, but going for something that just has a little bit more, as 128 gigs for like videos, photos, applications, and anything else is, I think at this point, a little bit too low. Personally, I use roughly around that kind of storage right out of the get-go, and I would like to have some space for additional things. So I recommend checking that out. Like a higher storage if obviously you're interested in it, as the 128 is on the lower end. Now 8 gigabytes of RAM should be good enough. Most phones also do this kind of like RAM extensions where they convert some of the storage to RAM, so that will help you a bit more with the applications. But if you want, you can also pick up 256 with 12 gigs of RAM. Now moving on to the last portion here, we have a processor which is the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, so it's a very good processor that is in here, very fast, and it should get you through basically everything that you throw onto this device, with an exception of like very heavy gaming. So we're talking about, you know, like just having some very demanding titles and being maxed out. You probably won't be able to have them like run on the absolute highest settings. But like I said, that is just like a single caveat there for demanding gaming, and everything else should be just breezing through this. So last thing to mention is the price tag of this device, which I do need to convert or actually just check. So I have not actually done that before. So we're looking at a price of what is it going to be? $570, something along those lines, 570, give or take, and that also includes already tax, which I do want to point out, as most US prices do not include tax. So what I'm saying is always with tax. So it's a pretty decent price for what the device offers. It has a very fast charging speed at being 80 watts. It has a good display, being 120 Hz OLED display. The cameras also seem to be decent on paper, and you also get a case right here. So yeah, it's a pretty solid device for what you get to pay for. And I want to kind of point out this because we will have a new iPhone coming out soon, which costs more than this, and it's in general just crappier option no matter what you pick. So I just kind of throw shade at Apple. The new iPhone 16e will basically have a crappier display, being at a lower refresh rate, slower charging speeds, less storage, less RAM, and yeah, it's just kind of comical how that device will still cost more than this. So yeah, just kind of wanted to throw shade there. But anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.